All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Frat Boys. And my name is Jesus Diaz, joined by
Anthony Aldano.
And we have a very, very, very important, special, amazing guest with us today, Dianna R. Dianna, do you want to give us a quick bio or intro on yourself?
Hi. Yeah, I've been following the show, reminiscing on the good old days. I started as an intern, then was employed, which was very exciting, and saw the evolution of Latino Step into all its many names. So happy
actually,
to be here.
Dianna, you have the sole and exclusive title of the only individual in LatCom Latino Step history to have interned and then done such a phenomenal, over-the-top job that you were offered a paid full-time role, which going in, we never, and Susan testified to this, we never, in the back of our heads, didn't think, oh yeah, let's see who we can hire from this intern batch. That was never. So you are the only person in that category, and you should be somewhat, it's an accolade. An accolade.
I survived, maybe because I survived.
Yes.
No, I didn't know that. That's actually a good fun fact.
Right? Am I right? Am I right, Jesus, on this data point?
Absolutely. And I would love to. We discussed this, I think, in a prior episode. How did Dianna run into the LatCom Latino Step? Yes. Who was the first person that you remember going back in time?
Yes. And how did that connection happen?
Yeah.
So I had to think about it hard. There was no social media, and I was fresh. I became a sister of Lambda Theta in fall 2000. So I believe it was in 2002, maybe. There was a guest book post looking for
where was this guest book? LatinoGreeks.com.
No. It must have been on the LTA National guest book.
Rest in peace, LatinoGreeks.com.
Rest in peace, guest books. Yeah. And there was a call for an audition to MC a show. I have no MC skills. And the show was tied to the NALFO award ceremony in San Diego, California.
That was a Latino Greeks event. That was not our event, but continue.
But this is where I met you. And so I was already attending the conference paid by my university. Not even sure how I finagled that. And so I was like, yeah, whatever. Let me audition
hard work and tenacity gets those things done.
So my chapter sister and I flew to San Diego, and I met, it was via email, I believe, with you or Frank. I'm not sure, but I met you both at the same time.
It was not me.
So I met you. We met at a Starbucks probably, and the interview was 4 minutes long to be the MC. You handed me some cue cards that you hand wrote.
Me?
Yes. On what to say, what not to say on stage, and there was a run. I believe there was a run of show.
Wait, what show was this? Where? California?
In San Diego. It was the same weekend as the NALFO award show. So I think I tried to write it, remember, I think it was 2002.
Jesus, jump in.
Let me ask this, just because I have, and maybe my recollection is wrong because I have a worse memory. I thought you and Chico had come to the James L. Knight Center to our event in January 2002. I thought I had met you in the lobby at some point. Maybe I don't remember so well, but
no,
I feel like
I'm pretty sure you're right.
I feel like
maybe that was after.
No. That was January. That was before we joined, because we joined Latino Greeks in October of 2002. But in January 2002, we did the Miami show at the James L. Knight Center. And I feel like I met you. I feel like Anthony and I met you and Choka in the lobby of the center.
Jokes?
I don't remember why or how.
Probably. That sounds accurate.
That does.
It sounds very plausible. That's very plausible.
We would have totally been there.
But it's probably realistic that Frank never used LTA or never hired LTA for the college tour before that. Do you recall at USF? No. Okay.
No. He hadn't come to USF yet.
Okay. Okay.
Like this was way before, and I think the actual call for MC was to be the host of the Manifold Award show / there was an after party stroll situation attached to it.
Okay.
It was very
Okay.
Diana,
strange.
Diana, Jesus, that wasn't our event. That was Latino Group's event, right?
Well,
But you were
yes,
there.
but that was we had just merged with them, so that might have been Anthony. That might have been your first event with the group.
Okay.
But anyway, sorry. Continue.
So that's what I
Yes.
remember.
Sorry for the interrupt. Okay,
No,
so
no,
that
it's
was
okay,
the first.
it's okay. Yeah,
that
that's
was
what
the
I
first-
remember. And then after that, there was a conversation of like, wow, you did a really great job, which was total bullshit.
Yeah,
And it was like, oh, we might, and I of course I'm like, eager beaver. I'm like, oh, so do you guys have internships? And Frank was like, yeah, send me an email. Like, sure. I'm sure there was no plan to have an intern at all.
Right.
And that was
No
in
problem.
2002. And I followed up, and then I think I was there like 6 months later as an intern.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How did you figure out your living arrangement from coming from Florida to New York on an unpaid internship?
Unpaid internship.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a good
It was
question.
completely unpaid. Actually, funny, I found my offer letter looking for like information from when I got hired. That's funny.
It was an
No, it was
actual letter, or was it
an
an
actual
email?
letter. No, it was an actual. No, it was an email. No, a
Wow.
letter attached to an email.
Oh.
But
I'll be right back.
it was unpaid. I have a chapter sister who had family here, and I rented a room from an older Dominican woman
Mhm.
in Washington Heights, and the room had a cot and like a very small radio. I only listened to Hot 97. I had no TV, and it didn't matter. I mean, I was there to work, to live, and experience New York. So
Yeah, so that's a great point.
That
So
was
to the
my
27 viewers that are going to watch this at some point in the future, that's a key, I feel, to like career trajectories. Like, you need to take unpaid internships, and you need to do whatever it takes. I mean, now we're in better situations, Jesus, me, you, Diana, where our children will be able to take unpaid internships, and they won't be financially struggling eating, ramen noodles, or what have you. Like, so I mean, that's how other, well-off, financially well-off families do it. Like all the children, their summer is focused on jobs, internships, activities that are going towards their career. Like, they're not working at like Wayne Reed over the summer because I got to buy deodorant and I need to buy food. Like, all their extracurriculars is focused around enhancing, developing things that'll help them in their career. So kudos to you, Diana, for obviously making it happen, man. That's big balls to like take a unpaid internship, move to New York. But again, that's also part of your DNA, the way you're built. You're built to just go and do and figure out the right, like, you'll focus on the goal, and then all the details will follow. Will end up,
Yeah, no family in New York, by the way. I should mention that.
Right.
So I had a lot of Starbucks in my life. And I think it's funny that you say that, because I feel like over time, right? Like, we're all in positions where we've hired and fired people along the way. And I tend to be biased towards Greeks, because I think it's naturally part of the DNA to like hustle and figure it out, that mentality that I'll take an unpaid internship because I know there's a greater reward at the end. That sometimes it's hard to teach some of these younger folks.
No, you can't teach that. That's kind of either your parents teach you that, or it's in your DNA. I actually had the reverse feeling. Like, I when we were working, like, I felt a lot of Greeks were just lazy. You were like the one in a million, honestly, or the only one well, very few, a handful, that like actually, worked and tried hard and did their best. And it's just,
That's interesting. I mean, I never thought of it as a filter, but like, if you think about it, Greeks are the only college students who will sacrifice social, what do you call it? The social restriction of pledging. So you actually, during a time in college where you're supposed to be actively social, you choose voluntarily to give up 10 weeks of your time to join an organization that you believe in. So that's actually an interesting filter as I think about it. Like, I usually think about it as like, if you join the
It's a
sports team
filter.
in college,
It's a filter towards what though?
towards
Filter
like people who you can almost like expect more from, like expect that hustle requirement. I always thought of it like as, you know, you join like a sports team at college, you're kind of voluntarily committing your time during a time where most people want to party and have fun. So it's
all right. So back to Diana.
sorry.
You meet us in California. It's okay.
Yes.
You meet us in California. Your tenacity and vigor and follow up. That's the key to follow up. Without follow up, there's nothing. So you follow up with Frank Valenica. Valenica's like, yeah.
Immediately, yes. He's like,
yeah,
sure, why not? Come. We don't have money.
Yeah,
but
free.
Come.
Yeah, who's gonna say no to? Oh, someone wants to work here for free? Sure, come.
And I actually think that.
And then
I think Frank asked me if I was getting college credit, and I wasn't. But I lied and I said I was because I wanted. I wanted to come.
No, but wasn't there paper? But did there be paperwork for you to submit to us? No. Oh, okay.
No, because what I was doing in school didn't apply like at all.
All right. So frame up this time frame in my mind because I remember being with Frank, going to USF for the college tour, and you being our point of contact. That's my first remembering of that's the first time I saw you. That's you were you coordinated, you booked everything. So when did that happen between in the time in California where you hosted and then you asked for the internship and you started?
I think it was like a month or two different because you probably came to USF maybe 2 months after the San Diego.
California. Okay.
And
you remember working you remember working with Frank and booking the space and all that stuff?
I remember booking the space, connecting him with sisters in different schools because there was a couple of other stops on the tour in Florida. I remember going with him to do a radio interview, promoting the step show. It must have been a stroll show in Orlando. Yes. I remember helping him find 2 MCs. There were 2, powerhouse Greeks from my school. I don't know if you remember that. I remember this is how long ago it was. Chi Upsilon Sigma was still very new in Florida. And we had to like practice making sure we said it right. Like this is how long ago this was. I remember that specifically.
Said their names right?
No, because I remember there was like a hiccup. The MC was from USF and we didn't have Cuzzies there yet. And he read the cue card and I guess he read it too fast and he said Chi Upsilon Sigma instead of Chi Sigma. Or I said it backwards.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting because like now it's just so like, it's evolved.
I think we lost.
Right.
Yeah, you came back. So yeah, that must have still been in the fall of 2002.
And you started your internship when? Sorry.
Okay.
Now, I was just gonna ask, what were your initial thoughts of the team? Like, meeting Frank, meeting Dave, meeting Anthony, etc. Like, do you remember?
So this is at the beginning of our internship, you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I came in the spring of 2003, I believe was the internship, and it was a really small office. I'm not really sure what I expected. But I appreciated that everybody had the same hustler mentality. So nobody was like complaining that it was a small office, right? Like Jesus was like a ghost because he wasn't physically in the office yet, but I knew he existed. I talked to him on the phone all the time.
Oh wow!
And he was still working full time in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, downstate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because it was a small space, I got to see and hear a lot of things that I don't think normal interns would. Right?
That's actually a plus. That's a huge plus. Huge plus.
Serious conversations that sometimes was like, Diana, can you go get coffee, right? Or Anthony.
Diana, we're about to fire Anthony. We're gonna need you to step out of the office now.
Anthony helping count flyers and rubber banding them because somebody's coming to pick them up, right? Like no matter where you kind of sat at the table, everybody chipped in on all tasks. So I think from an intern perspective, also being the only female in an all-male office was part of that equation, right? Like I was expecting like, oh, here we go. They're gonna send me to go get coffee every day. But it wasn't, it was completely the opposite, if anything. And I remember even being able to tag along to some pretty cool stuff because I was there for free. Like I remember Al had to go to HBO to drop something off to John Leguizamo, I think. Or we were videotaping him for like content for icaramba.com, something. He gave me a camera and said, can you just go in my place? I had no clue what was happening, but you know, just being there allowed
I was
to,
like, hey, I'm 3 hours late to work. I'm really behind on stuff. Can you please do this?
He walked me in and he introduced me, and they were filming a movie. There was a bunch of recognizable actors in the room.
Was it the boxing movie that Leguizamo did? I remember going. I think we were promoting that. Do you remember that, Aziz?
Yeah, no, and I would say the lesson there, not to skip all the way ahead of the
it's okay.
conversation, but like it's like an unpaid internship that you kind of like had to almost misrepresent college credit for, but you got in and you got to meet John Leguizamo, which, you know, if your trajectory would have been acting or directing in the future, like who does that, you know, as a college student? So unpaid internships do have a great like there's this like great hidden possibility if you're at the right, you know, again, you have to coordinate right time, right place, but that's fascinating. Anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, and to piggyback off of that, I think too, because it was a startup environment, it was different. It wasn't, you know, corporate America where I'm, you know, worried about my outfit matching and my name badge to slide in. Like none of that applied at all. It was like, come in, get the work done. We'll go have a beer after, right? Like it was just very gritty. And actually the meeting John Leguizamo on set turned into an article that I got to write for the magazine, which was pretty cool. Again, never had aspirations of being a writer, published, any of that.
Do you still have the copy of that magazine? I'm
pretty sure I do, actually. Now that I remember,
which one,
I need to find it.
Who was on the cover of that magazine? I don't remember.
There was green on the cover.
Green.
I don't remember.
But I think you wrote several. You wrote several articles for the magazine, no? I feel like you were a contributor.
Maybe, but that was probably the first.
Got it.
And it was just about my intern experience and specific moment. And it was a picture of me and John Leguizamo in the corner.
That's
like
right.
My claim to fame, sent it to my mom. You know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Getting back to the internship and your experience. All right, tell us your most memorable positive experience at the internship, and then your most negative, most worst experience at the internship. And how long did the internship last?
The internship was just a semester, just spring. I got to travel. I went on tour with you and Frank.
I remember going to Puerto Rico with you and Frank.
We went to Puerto Rico. We did another show in LA where we did like the Greek Olympics or something like that.
Yeah, that was terrible.
It was terrible. But I definitely remember going to California. We probably went to Chicago at some point.
You were interning when you went to all these things?
When interning, I remember going to the Egg, to Albany.
That was a great, we talked about all that. Nice.
Yes,
beautiful
you're
facility.
Right. That is an amazing venue. I think just the exposure was probably the best part. I got to meet a lot of characters. That's kind of like how I remember everyone. I even remember my first week, Dave was trying to put together NGLC. And it was like crazy important people in our little tiny office. And I'm here, like, I'll never forget, I was moving chairs around so everybody fit in that, moving the orange curtain, right? So that I can sit on the couch and listen because I didn't want to leave. I definitely remember that. It was like my first week there. And I think Dave expected me to leave, but he's like, oh, you can stay if you want. But again, just being in the right place at the right time and like listening to conversations.
So the NGLC was the national
new generation Latino consortium. Yeah. And for those who weren't there, what Diana's describing is like, imagine a small rectangular office space where you've got 30 high profile Latino media industry folks coming together to discuss launching a consortium that will really impact every like media, kind of magazines, radio. It was just the mix of people. It was I didn't realize it. Like I forgot about that meeting until you just brought it up.
And to Dave Chattel's credit, the only reason to form that consortium was to drum up business and to sell and to connect. So, selling ice to an Eskimo as usual. But please continue, Dan.
I don't think I have a very specific negative memory, but I remember the struggle between like being myself as a Latina Greek member, but also remaining neutral because I'm dealing with all these teams and biases that existed in the Northeast that like in Florida didn't exist, right? Like the politics of all of that and trying to learn how to navigate that. I was super young, like 23, maybe 22. But then also trying to do a good job in my internship because of course, the end goal is I want to be asked to come back in a professional capacity. But I think that was somewhat difficult. Now looking back, it's kind of funny. But when you're young, I still wanted to kind of like network with these people, but also understand that like they were a client, right? That relationship needed to be different. I needed to handle it differently than like, yeah, let's go out. Oh, you want to invite me to a party? No problem. But then it's like, oh, the girl for Latino Step was here. That's why they got first place, right? Like I never wanted that situation to come up. So figuring out the politics was a little bit challenging. I was still relatively new in the Greek world myself. So I remember that being like an awkward, funny feeling, not really sure how to even ask for help in navigating that, but it was good lessons came from that, I think.
Yeah,
client and people management.
There was no playbook, and to your credit, I mean, as Anthony mentioned, you hustled, you worked hard, and you figured it out. As we were all figuring it out at that time. So it's like we didn't have a playbook. We just kind of ran with what we thought was right and what was best to do in any situation. So that was critical. And I remember my memory of Dianna is, well, my first memory, I guess, is a little blurry because I thought it was James L. Knight Center. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I was probably there.
My best memory, and this speaks to this woman's hustle. Like there was a college tour that we were working together on. We were in the middle of Texas, I believe, and after every week we would have to ship all the stuff back across the world to some other city. And I remember Diana and I in this endless kind of like evening that went to like 5:30 in the morning. Like she was still hustling to get like stuff into a storage locker, and I was there and I was like, Diana, rest up. But she was just like, no, we got to get this done. And it's just like, my God, this woman is like supercharged. I knew you were going to be we already knew you were going to be successful, but like that just, spoke to your personality and your hustle. So that's my favorite.
We probably had a flight. We probably had a flight to catch.
That too. But
it's probably the 6 a.m. flight, I'm sure, 7 a.m.